July 4th, Independence Day. A boat full of teenagers heads out to a barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast to celebrate. By that night, one of them is missing. 2 days later, his family gets the news no parent wants to hear. This is the story of Nolan Wells and the questions his death has left behind. 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells from Ocean Springs, Mississippi, set out on July 4th for Horn Island, a popular boat access-only barrier island on the Gulf Coast. Photos from that day show him with a group of friends on the boat. At 6'1", Nolan towers over the others, his arms slung around their shoulders, smiling for the camera. He's also the only black person in the group. That detail, captured in a handful of photos, would later become central to a much bigger, much more painful conversation. Sometime that afternoon, the group's boat reportedly started taking on water, an issue with the bilge pump. Around 4:30 p.m., they left the island. Nolan wasn't with them. Hours passed. Then, around 11 p.m., Nolan's family got a call from one of the friends who'd been on the trip. Nolan was missing. His mother, Christine Wansley, didn't wait. In the early hours of July 5th, she turned to social media, posting a plea for help finding her son, asking anyone with information to come forward, and asking anyone willing to pray for his safe return. By that morning, the Jackson County Sheriff's Department had launched a search, coordinating with the U.S. Coast Guard and Mississippi's Department of Marine Resources. As Wansley's posts spread online, volunteer groups joined in, including the United Cajun Navy, a Louisiana-based search and rescue nonprofit. One of its leaders later described Horn Island that weekend as packed with boats and people, and said strong rip currents in the area may have posed a real danger to anyone who ended up in the water. For 2 days, the family held on to hope. We have so many questions. Our hearts are breaking. We keep waiting for Nolan to walk through that door with his beautiful smile and a joke, of course, his mother wrote online. We pray our son is alive and safe. That hope ended on Monday, July the 6th. A body matching Nolan's description was recovered near the shoreline of Horn Island. Officials confirmed what the family had feared since that first missing call. A cause of death has not yet been released. The investigation, according to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, remains active, and investigators are still asking the public for any photos or video taken near the northwest part of the island on July 4th. The Wells family isn't waiting quietly for those answers. They've retained civil rights attorney Ben Crump, a name familiar from some of the country's highest profile cases involving black victims and law enforcement. The family has also commissioned an independent autopsy, citing concerns about how a racially charged investigation might be handled in Mississippi. At a news conference alongside the Reverend Al Sharpton, the family's attorneys said the details emerging so far aren't adding up and called for a deeper, more transparent investigation. Nolan's mother spoke through tears. She said this isn't how she wanted the world to learn about her son, a young man she and her husband raised to understand history, but who was, in her words, a peacemaker who wanted everyone included. We just want to know what happened, she said. Online, the case has become something much larger than one missing person's report. The image of Nolan, the only black teenager in a boat full of white friends, has been picked apart, shared, and debated by millions. For some, it's raised uncomfortable questions about what it means to be a young black man in a majority white space, in a state with a long and difficult history around race. For others, they caution against assuming the worst before investigators finish their work. No official evidence of foul play has been released. No charges have been filed. The medical examiner's findings are still pending. But in 2026, in an era where every photo can be scrutinized and every silence can be filled with suspicion, Nolan Wells' story has become something bigger than his own. A mirror held up to a country still working through unfinished business. For now, one thing is certain. A mother is grieving. A community is searching for clarity. And an investigation that started with a missing persons call on the 4th of July is far from over. We'll continue to follow this story as new information comes to light.